You coming back from shoulder surgery through 72 pitches, 4 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks in a no decision. Shohei Ohtani hit his 31st home run of the year as the NL West leaders took 3 of 4 from their rival San Francisco. Guardians, leaders of the AL Central, were shut out by the Tigers 3-0. Orioles blew a 6-0 lead but end up beating the Marlins 7-6 in 10 innings. They've got a 2-game lead now on the idle New York Yankees for the top spot in the AL East. Mets over the Braves 3-2 in 10 innings. New York now is a half game back of Atlanta for the number.
Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I had an emergency.
Got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. It is a free-for-all Flashback Friday. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. I want to invite you to get in on the conversation. We're going to talk recruiting. We're going to talk all SEC selection. We're going to talk scholarship. I'm changing it from just scholarship increases to scholarship/roster management. And I'm going to do something I don't do often. 2 things I don't do often. I'm going to play an entirety of an interview, and it's a 6-minute interview. And it's not an Alabama coach. It's Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney, if you all, I went in depth on the scholarship limitations, pros and cons, and Dabo does an absolute unbelievable job of explaining this, okay? And the way he explains it is really good. And what he does is it's a lot like what I am adding to my roster of sponsors, right? Okay. So before I had the career change forced upon me before I had the career change forced upon me by Alabama One and the decisions that they made, there wasn't an issue. I had plenty of spots and things like that because I wasn't really trying to sell my spot. But now the limitation matters because I'm trying to fill my roster of sponsors. And as I do that, there's only so many spots, okay? There's only so many breaks in an hour. And you have to decide whether you have 60-second spots or 30-second spots, live reads versus recorded. But it's a limit. And every time I use one of those, it's gone. And then when it's gone, I can't just reach over and grab another sponsor and put it in. I have to wait till another sponsor is ready to come on. So I have to go out and try to find that sponsor. And that's the time frame. Well, in college football, they have a time frame of when they lose a player, when they can replace them. And guess what? They can only replace them one time a year, technically. And that is after signing day, in spring ball, into the next fall. And Dabo talks about that a little bit. So we're going to have him. I mean, I'm telling you, it's really good. And it is doing away with the walk-on program. But that wasn't their intention. That's not what they said, but the way it's implemented. And so I'm going to let you hear that in its entirety. We're going to have recruiting with X. He's going to give us an update. We're going to we talked a little bit in the OT yesterday about the defensive line. We can talk about that. We can talk about all SEC. But regardless of what we talk about today, you can get in on that conversation with us by just talk to us a little bit on our phone lines at 205-342-9904. You can talk to us, let us know what you got going on, and we'd love to hear from you. 205-342-9904. That's the hotline. You're welcome to sponsor that as well. And jump in with us on chat. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice, be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. All right, so like I said, we're going to hear from Dabo. It's about a 6-minute clip. But before we do that, X, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Glad to be back again this morning.
Glad to have you back. Hey, listen, and what's your real quick thoughts on the scholarship? It's not scholarship roster management. It is literally, when you hear Dabo explain this, you're gonna go just see how big a deal it is. And as soon as we finish it, we'll go to break, come back, and let our listening audience as well as you respond to it. But real quick, your thoughts, about 30 seconds on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought process, and I mean, he's not wrong, really. It's not a free for all when it comes to replacing players. You have certain windows and certain times you can do it, and I think that's the way that you got to manage the game. But the thing is, you can't fall behind the times, and that's what's kind of happening up at Clemson. And I think there has to be an adjustment.
What you mean, fall behind the times?
As far as the way that he has handled the change with the adding of the transfer portal and not being that big of a fan of it.
Well, the thing of it is, actually, I talked to Dabo yesterday. He has chosen to make sure that his program is strong and guys don't want to leave. Dabo only lost a handful of players. Everybody keeps blaming Alabama's players for leaving on DeBoer. DeBoer didn't lose that many guys. DeBoer only had a few guys go into the portal. Saban was the one that lost a lot of players. A lot of these guys were out of here with Saban. Dabo is only having to replace a handful of players, and he's choosing to build his roster. But that's not what's happening with this. And he starts it off. Let's listen to what Dabo Swinney had to say in regards to this situation X with the roster management and recruiting. Let's just hear what he had to say, and then I'll let you all respond. Like I said, listen up. It's going to be a while. We'll go a little on the break to get it all in, but it's definitely worth hearing. And I think a lot more coaches will follow suit with this thought process, even though they may fall in line with what's being decided.
The crazy thing is there's not many coaches that want 105 scholarships. We want to keep our walk-ons. It's hard to manage, that many guys. And when you have that many guys on scholarship, you think you got transfers now. You wait till that number gets there. It's going to be a lot. So it's going to change a lot of things. But I think it's a product of the lawsuit that was settled. I don't think there was an intention to say, okay, you can have no more walk-ons. I think just the way it was settled was whatever your roster size is, that's your scholarship limit. So you couldn't limit scholarships. And so obviously that's where administrators get together and say, no, wait a minute, we can't have 130 guys on scholarship. So we're going to have to reduce the roster. But whatever they reduce it to, everybody's got to be on scholarship. So, that's how we've gotten to this situation. Now, that's great for baseball. That's great for soccer and some of the sports that, you take 11 scholarships and spread it out amongst 30-something guys. They all have to be on scholarship. But for football, the unintended consequence is it basically eliminates your walk-ons. And there's no coach that wants that. It's a really sad thing, to me. Yeah, great, we get more scholarships, that's awesome. But, our game is just different. I mean, if you look at, 100, and you think 105 guys, you ought to have plenty of guys, but, you have to dive a little deeper into that. If you look at the NFL, I mean, they'll have 53 and 16 or 18 on the practice squad, but whatever their roster is, it never changes. So, for example, if they have 8 active linemen, they never have less than that. They can go to any practice squad on 32 teams and take a guy on Monday and activate him to play. And then, oh, by the way, every Tuesday they can bring free agents through. But in college, you can't grab the guy out of the algebra class over here in the middle of the season, and bring him over here and plug him in. And so whatever you start with, it dwindles. And this is a game played by big people. You don't put the corner at nose guard for the week for the scout team. And it's a complicated game. You may have maybe that corner physically could go play running back, but he doesn't know what to do. It's not like they all sit in the same meetings and they learn the terminology. I mean, it's not that simple. It's a very complicated game. It's frustrating. You need to not be able to have the walk-ons. And then in our world, we don't get them at 7 and they leave at 4. And we have a very small window to practice. You have 17 hours with a 20-hour rule. You have 17 hours to meet, to work out, to practice, to get a team ready to play Monday through Friday. So when you go on the practice field, you have to be incredibly efficient with your time. And if you don't have scout teams, to be able to present the looks, it's really difficult. So I think it's going to really challenge. It's a challenge, for sure, and we'll figure it out. But how you have to practice to develop these kids at this level, because when they come to college, the guys that we recruit, it's the first time they've had peers in their life. They've never, when you go to the NFL, these guys they're the best of the best. They've been playing football forever, and if you can't win on a slant route versus inside technique, they just bring somebody in there who can, because it's just different in how they practice. We have to develop guys. You might be big and strong, but again, it's the first time that you have been matched up. So we have to teach a guy how to pull properly. It's just a different type of preparation in college, and now when you do away with the walk-ons and your guys that are just wanting to be a part of it and they want to serve, that 105 is going to dwindle. It's going to dwindle. And, I mean, we can't go we have no way to practice. There were teams last year that played bowl games that if this rule was in effect last year, they would have had to forfeit the bowl game because they wouldn't have had, enough players. Again, it's just, you don't just take a guy and go play left guard. It's just, it's frustrating because we're going to play more games than we've ever played, practice more than we've ever played, finish longer than we've ever played, and we're going to have the smallest roster we've ever had. So it's not, and again, it's not like they said, hey, no walk-ons. That's just what happened when it was settled, that you can't limit scholarships anymore. And again, we could have we could keep our 120, which all coaches want, but everybody have to be on scholarship. Well, obviously that's a problem, so everybody's been trying to figure out how can we best make it work. And I think, sounds like, I don't know that, but it sounds like it's kind of heading to 105. So that means you have more scholarships. But I think most coaches, everybody will handle it. There's probably some walk-ons that you got to keep. And then now you got more scholarships. So there'll be some guys that, might take a few more developmental guys. You might take, maybe it's a transfer or two from different levels or whatever. I mean, I think it'll just be to be determined on how it's all handled. But I do think you'll see that transfer number go way up because, you only travel about 80. So that'd be a lot of football players not getting to play. So, again, the walk-on program is what disappoints me the most is, kids that just want to be a part of it, that want to come help you prepare and practice. It saddens me that's probably going to go away.
All right, that's Dabo Swinney. Hey, I want your reactions. The phone lines are open, 205-342-9904. Dabo laying it out. The pros and cons, didn't have a lot of pros there. And I agree with him. I talked about it yesterday in OT. We'll talk about it more when you and I come back on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show right here on your home for Alabama Sports, Tide 100.9, 12:30 a.m. WTBC. Hey, don't forget, make fullbacks great. Again, get that gear at athletesthreads.com/collections/Martin-Houston.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The drive time along Highway 69 from Old Greensboro Road to Skyland Boulevard is clocking in at 8 minutes this morning. McFarland at 12 minutes with no problems between Coker and Jack Warner. And it's an 8-minute drive on westbound 2059 from Cottondale to the 359. Also 8 minutes eastbound from Foster's to the McFarland exit. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is sponsored by Stand Up to Cancer.
What's the best position on the wheel? 10 and 2. Townsend Nissan's got the best position for buying a vehicle. $2,000 to $10,000 in discounts now. No other dealer in town can do that. Townsend Nissan.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Hey folks, the factory has awarded Townsend Nissan with bonus cash to pass along to you, the consumer, from $2,000 to $5,000. That means to you at Townsend Nissan, you can save up to $10,000 on the Armada. And yes, we have rates as low as 1.9%. Here's some factory and Townsend Nissan savings: $3,000 on the Frontier and Altima. And now you can buy a new Hot Centra or Kicks for only $20,990. And yes, Townsend Nissan is your volume dealer. And yes, you can save on your taxes and fees right here at Townsend Nissan.
Get in zone. AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Brakes? We can save you 15% on that. We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in zone. AutoZone.
Man, you ain't heard? They're doing it big in downtown Northport.
How big?
They got Bama tees up to 5X.
5X?
Eye-catcher screen printing and gifts in Northport has 3, 4, and 5X shirts.
Man, that's big enough to fit my cousin Larry.
Conveniently located next door to the City Cafe in downtown Northport. Eye-catchers is a great place to shop. They have the best prices on Bama t-shirts and also offer custom screen printing. Let Eye-catchers print shirts for your next event. 345-7762. Eye-catcher screen printing and gifts, where getting seen becomes an art.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm day today with a mixture of clouds and sunshine. The chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms mainly this afternoon and this evening. The high today 88, the low tonight 72. Tomorrow partly sunny, a few scattered storms around, the high 89. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Got timberland in West Alabama. North River Timber Company has you covered since 2011. Courtney White, a registered forester with the state of Alabama, and his expert team have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 counties in West Alabama and growing. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go unrealized. Call North River Timber Company today and unlock the true potential of your land. You can email them at northriverco@gmail.com. That's northriverco@gmail.com. Or call 205-242-5127, 205-242-5127. They're one of our newest roster members. They've joined the team of sponsors. You can do likewise at martinhouston.org. They'll be joining us full time in August. All right, X, we're back, man. What's your thoughts? Just initially, just out of the gate, listening to what Dabo had to say.
Yeah, hearing it the way that he broke it down, it makes a lot of sense of why he feels the way that he feels. When you look at the entire flow of things with the way that the college football is trending, with the loss of the walk-ons potentially on the horizon, when you know that is something, that's how you build your team. That's how you make your team better. And I mean, I always love the stories of the guys that were walk-ons that ended up making names for themselves. I mean, two recently in Alabama history is Levi Wallace and Rashad Johnson, guys that had long NFL careers. And then, of course, that is something that's personal to Dabo, because he's a walk-on here, and him being able to walk on here is what was the first step of leading him to where he is now.
Right. If there is no walk-on program, is there even a Dabo Swinney coaching at Clemson? Because he was a walk-on here, his work ethic and the way he took, and he probably showed in some of those days when he was on the walk-on side of things, he probably showed a lot of leadership and coaching in getting everybody in the right spot, which would have caught the coach's eyes before he moved over to the scholarship side of things. And so, to me, it's a lot of different things there, but two things that kind of go hand in hand. He said, "You think the transfer portal is a problem now? Wait till you have 105 scholarship guys." And this is what I said yesterday. When guys can think about, guys want to play win immediately. Now. So you have guys right now who are leaving, and they're only competing. Technically, most of them are really only competing against 84 other guys overall, and even fewer guys at DB, or fewer guys in their specific position. With 25 more scholarship guys, each position group could have 2 or 3 more guys competing for the same amount of playing time. That's number one. Number two is the walk-ons. He said that's how you build your program, because they just want to be a part of helping you get better, and they just want to practice. How many of these scholarship guys you think are gonna want to give you a look at when they're not playing? That's who's going to have to go out there and give you a look. Now, I can tell you, my freshman year, I gave a look because I was trying to get on the other side of the ball. I don't know if I would have been as engaged if the second year I didn't get into the roster rotation that was on the traveling squad. That's the other part. There's a lot of things here. The other part is you travel 70, I think it's 75 to SEC games. They may do 80 in ACC. I'm not sure. But he said 75 to 80. So you used to have 5 to 10 guys that would travel, right? That didn't travel, that were on scholarship. That's if none of them were injured. So most of the time, almost all the scholarship guys travel. You would now have 25 to 30 guys sitting at home that's on scholarship every week, unless they change the travel. They change the travel, now you change the expenses. So there's some other things I want to get to, but let's get to you have a response to that, and then we'll get to J-Rob.
No, I mean, I respect it. I get it now.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people keep saying that about Dabo and the transfer thing. He's just taking a different approach to the transfer. He's trying to keep his roster together. And he said that the way he would describe his team for 2024, 2025 is strong and together. Strong and together. And that's what he's been building toward. and we'll see what that results in. I'm going to try to get him on at some point in the season, but we did have a good conversation, and I thought this was very interesting take. J-Rob, you're in on the hotline. What's on your mind?
Happy Friday, fellas. How's it going?
Happy Friday. Going good.
Going good.
Man, it's gonna be a wild world, and I think that conversation that you had with Dabo, or whoever had with Dabo, cleared it up for me a lot. And I got two questions. Where's all this extra money coming from that's going to pay for these extra scholarships?
The NCAA settlement will get, I think it's $20 to $22 million added to the bottom line of schools. So what they've done is, instead of that money being able to go pay the players, this is my opinion, they're still not going to give the players any more money, because that war chest of that extra money is now going to be going to giving more scholarships, which in some sports is great. Baseball goes from 11.7, J-Rob, to 34 scholarships.
Good.
Coach Vaughn might just take Alabama to a World Series and a national championship, because now he's on the same playing field with all of his surrounding schools, that he can recruit guys and give them a scholarship where nobody could give scholarships more than 11.7, but they all had lottery or hope things and things like that, where they were paying for the school for all of their players, and Alabama was having to split 11 scholarships among 30-something guys.
Excited to hear that. I mean, that's one good thing that's going to come out of this thing. But just like Dabo said, you think it was hard to manage the roster now? Wait till this picks up thick. It's going to be they don't want to sit on the bench and play second team, Martin. I mean, if they're not playing now, they're going to get in the portal, and it'll be a free for all come when they open that transfer portal up. I guarantee you.
Yeah. How did you like his analysis to everybody going, well, the NFL does it with 53 in a practice squad, but Dabo explained it perfectly, didn't he? Well, the reason they can do 53 is they have a number per position, and no matter if they lose a player in a position, they have an entire field of people they can go recruit. They can go to everybody's practice squad, all 32 teams, and they can bring in free agents from anywhere. Like, after I got hurt, I was still called to see if I wanted to come back and play. After I left the Steelers, I even got a call from the Green Bay Packers the next draft if I wanted to come play fullback. So it's not just the guys who came out that year. It's not just a practice squad. It's any guy that they think physically is ready to play. You can go get a guy out of the grocery store for an NFL roster. Kurt Warren. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So it's huge. And the part that I want to close on, I mean, let you respond to and let you go, J-Rob, is when he said you start with 105 and you go down from there. You go down from 105. They had 120 players. 120 to 125 is what they used to have.
Yeah, I'm going to miss the underdog story. The guys that are hungry, the guys that come to work and work every day for nothing, have to pay their own way, just trying to get a spot, trying to go travel, trying to get a spot on the roster. I'm going to miss those underdog stories, and I think this is going to eliminate them pretty much. So you guys have a great weekend. Roll Tide.
Thanks, J-Rob. Roll Tide. X, respond to that real quick. I think the underdog story changes. The underdog story becomes the 3-star who's on scholarship, or a 2-star that Alabama picked up that would be a good practice guy that gets here and develops. So I think you'll still see guys come in unexpectedly and play, because the beauty of it is some schools are going to be able to get a few more, 4 stars and 5 stars. The reality of it is there's only so many 5 stars rated, right? There's only so many 4 stars rated, then 3 stars, unless the rating services change Your response really quick.
No, I think that's how it does change. I think it becomes about the other guys, the Dre Kirkpatrick Juniors, the Quinnen Williams. Those are the underdog stories that you hear now more than you hear about the top end or the walk-on guys. A two-star that is needed to fill a slot, a depth piece, and then something happens along the way. He gets an opportunity to get out on the field. That's where it goes from now on.
On the other side of the break, I'll give you one of the pros I do think happens as a result that of this. I think there are going to be some of those, according to Chuck Hunt, Rudy type stories coming out, the Dabo Swinney stories. They just won't be walk-ons. If this rule stays, I think that you're going to see some pushback where they give them a practice squad. They're going to have to, man. I mean, but you can't give those guys anything. You're going to have a scholarship, and then I think they're going to have to give them some number of players for a practice squad. There's a reason there's a practice squad. There's a reason that you have those guys. A couple other things that Dabo pointed out that makes it tough. I'll hit those highlights on the other side, and then we'll get into some recruiting with X. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and X. We'd love to have you jump in on the conversation at 205-342-9904 on this Flashback Free-for-All Friday.
Getting her to say yes is just the first hurdle. If you want to marry her, you better get a yes from the whole family. It knows what to do. Just think of all the happy couples brought together by us in the past 120 years. We're pretty good at it. So when you want something that takes her breath away and tells her family you're not messing around, Fincher and Osment to the rescue.
I'm Tom Osment, your jeweler at Fincher and Osment Jewelers. Not so easy to find on McFarland, between Edgar's and local routes.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We can get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we can take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Cinderella's Tom Kiefer. Live Loud 2024. Saturday, August 10th, 8 p.m. Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. On sale now at pearlriverresort.com. Cinderella's Tom Kiefer. Live Loud.
It's time to talk with your doctor about your risk for chronic kidney disease, CKD. If you have high blood pressure or diabetes, or if you smoke, you are at risk for CKD. Ask your doctor about your kidney function. The health of your kidneys is usually checked at least once or twice a year. Let your doctor know you are concerned about the health of your kidneys and ask what you can do to keep your kidneys healthy.
This report is sponsored by Tire Rack.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Go check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They've been doing it the right way since 1974. They've been rolling with me since 2016. We appreciate them, my longest running sponsor and partner. But hey, we'd love for you to join that roster of great companies and partners. Go to email Martin at martinhouston.org if you would like to become a partner. We have some great opportunities for you. You can sponsor segments like today, Free for All Friday. It would be, whatever your company name is for Free for All Friday. So, but go back and check out Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value on the biggest cactus in town. And looking forward to them remaining a great partner. TacoCasa.com. And listen, if you're a little thirsty and you're wondering what you're going to chase it with, go get some of that sweet tea, the best in town. That's Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value on the biggest cactus in town. 6 locations in Tuscaloosa, one up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive. All right, let's get back at it. X, Pat, we're coming to you in just a second. X, when you look at this, man, it's an interesting time. Dabo said 7 to 4 is the work day for the NFL. And of course, we know that that's 7 hours each day. College has 17 hours spread from Sunday to Friday. They have 20-hour work week, 3 hours for the game, 17 hours for everything, meetings and practice and follow-up meetings, etc. So not only if you have somebody that could play both ways, they don't have a whole lot of time to get there. So, and then the biggest thing to me is this is another move, X, that I go, did they think about player safety? Dabo said more games, longer seasons, later finish, earlier start, right? Earlier start. They're starting earlier. We start practice next week in Tuscaloosa, play in August, and could potentially be playing well into January. Longest season, smallest roster. I mean, it's just so many. There's a lot, and like I said, it's great for some of the sports. Real quick, X, what do you think Nate Oates does with 2 more scholarships? Is that good or bad?
I mean, I think in every other sport outside of football, it could be a great thing. But I think you add more depth pieces. You get a guy that you really wanted that might have had to go somewhere else.
But do you?
I think it. Like I said, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I think it's great. Like I said, I think it's great in every other sport but football, just because of the number.
I think you get 15 basketball players on scholarship, your transfer portal number goes up. You can just bring in more guys too. So it's kind of the same thing. I mean, you got 15 guys you're trying to get in 5 spots, so you have 3 deep all the time. So it'll be interesting to see. In basketball, you only plays 7, 8 guys. So the transfer portal, I think, and I could be wrong, Ax, I would not be surprised if the transfer portal rule doesn't change to one get out of jail free card. They're going to have to do something because the combination will be devastating. Let's get to Pat. Pat, you're in with Martin and Ax. What's on your mind?
Absolutely, Martin. They're going to have to put a sports psychologist on staff to help with this. I mean, it's going to be awful as far as what that, like Dabo, I agree with him 100% on being able to keep these guys engaged that aren't traveling. But now, am I assuming correctly that all 105 will be able to dress out for each home football game?
That's what I'm saying. They would have to change that. SEC had limitations, Pat, on non-conference games. You could dress out as many as you wanted, if I'm not mistaken. So the SEC in the individual conferences will have to change it. I think it's 75. I haven't checked that rule in forever. It was in the 70s, for a long time that you could travel to an SEC game. Or that you could dress for an SEC game. It wasn't about travel. It was dress for an SEC game because one of the teams would be traveling every SEC game, and so they had a limitation on the roster for an SEC game. But put me on the sideline. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I said, put me on the sideline in a uniform isn't gonna appease me in terms of going into the portal, though. It just frustrates me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That but now I got something here though that I think that we need to. If this is the case, we're going to have to also move and no early sign-in period. We're going to have to move back to the original sign-in period because of more evaluation. The evaluation factor for these players and who you pick to be on your team is going to have to. I mean, hey, you're going to have more evaluation time, but are you going to have to be really, really good at it? Do you not agree with that?
X, I'll let you respond to it, and then I'll give my quick response.
I think the big name guys you've evaluated 100%. I think you'll start to see a bigger national signing day again. You'll always have the big early signing day, and how it's dwindled with national signing day. I think you'll just see that number rise again.
A great observation, X. I don't think you need any more time, Pat. I think these coaches start recruiting these kids because of the amount of film and different things. As ninth graders, eighth graders, they have huddles, descending, all that stuff. I don't think the evaluation period goes, but to X's point, great point. You're going to still see the same number of guys, 23 to 25 sign or more on the early signing period. Then they'll use that last time to decipher between the guys that fill spot 86 through 105. I just don't think it's going to take any longer. You got anything else before I let you go, Pat?
No, man, I appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed weekend.
All right, thanks. George, you're in with X and Martin. What's on your mind?
Hey, Martin, thanks for taking my call. I guess I'm a little bit confused. So they went from 85 scholarships to 105, but they dropped the number you can keep on your roster from, 125 to 105. Is that right?
What they're looking at, George, is that they haven't determined this yet. But what they have decided is whatever they decide on the roster side, all of them have to be on scholarship. Okay? So baseball has always had 34 guys. And they can't, and undoubtedly in football, they're not going to let you partial out scholarships. Football rosters have been 120 to 125. Okay? Baseball has been 34. So now they're going to have enough scholarships for their whole roster. All these other teams they're going to be able to finance their whole roster. What they're saying is you can have, if football decides on 120, that means that you would have to pay for 120 scholarships.
Okay.
So they're not saying that. Go ahead.
Okay. What? So everybody that's out there that puts on a helmet has to be on full scholarship. Well, I guess what I'm saying is, what was the reason for doing away with walk-ons? I guess that's where I'm kind of hazy. What's the benefit?
I think that they're. Remember, this is to me potentially backhanded on the part. Right now, if I want to get an extra scholarship guy, I can do NIL. Okay?
Right.
So I can have 85 full scholarship guys, and then I can go out and give another guy an NIL deal, and he's not counted as a scholarship, but I could do that. So what they're doing is to me, this is a way to prevent schools from also paying people.
Okay.
I give you 105 scholarships. You can't go out and get another scholarship quality guy at 106 by giving him NIL. But what they're doing is they're hurting the programs by doing that. And I don't know if that's the reason behind it or not. But they're trying to do away with NIL. Paying scholarships.
Okay, one more. Have they increased the window for giving scholarships? I know we got the early signing time, Then they got February, the first Wednesday of February. Are they doing anything with that window?
X, do you know anything? I've not heard anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess, but I'm agreeing with you. Shorten the size of your squad, increasing the games, lengthening the season. I mean, they aren't thinking about safety.
Not at all.
They aren't. And not only that, when you're also decreasing the amount of training, which helps decrease the amount of injuries. I mean, it's just another it's a joke. You know, this all season has been really crazy. I'm ready to start playing some football this week. You know, it seems like when we're playing football, all these pinheads, they don't have the time to do anything. So we got to quit. You know, we got to get playing because all they want to do, you know, they think change is good. Sometimes changing is not good.
Right.
But thank you for taking my call.
Thanks. And I do think one thing that would be good, X, is if they were to, if you can sign more scholarship guys after spring and into the fall, because you lose guys. That would be interesting. We'll be back on the other side to talk recruiting, X, and maybe you talk about maybe they do need to change the times where you can have, maybe there's become the third signing period. Who knows? We'll talk about it right here on your home for Alabama Sports, Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. We'll be back on the other side to wrap up this conversation with a little recruiting news.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The trip down from Northport is a quiet one for the moment, just a 5-minute drive on Lurling Wallace from McFarland to 15th Street. 8 minutes on 2059 from Foster's to McFarland, and on the westbound side, 8 minutes there as well. And along McFarland from Coker to Jack Warner, expect a 12-minute trip with no big problems along the way. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Friday morning. A sure sign that the fall semester at the University of Alabama is not far away have appeared. 10 roll-off dumpsters are strategically located to assist students with their move-in. They are for residential use only. Contractors and businesses are prohibited from using them. They are set up at Parkview Center, Meadow Drive, 12th Street, in front of Capstone Condominiums, in front of Heathrow Apartments, Tutwiler, 12th and 14th Street, 8th Avenue and 13th Street, and 13th Street behind Jack's. I'm Don Hartley.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Friday mornings on the Gary Harris GIF edition. We're going to rock you into the weekend with some great music, a lot of fun, terrific guests like Adam Amin from Fox Sports, Brett Pritchard with the Auburn Report, your phone calls, and more. That's the TGIF edition of the Gary Harris Show, Friday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
What's the best position on the wheel? 10 and 2. Townsend Nissan's got the best position for buying a vehicle. $2,000 to $10,000 in discounts now. No other dealer in town can do that. Townsend Nissan.
Nearly 3,000 teen drivers die in car crashes each year. Tire Rack Street Survival is designed to save lives. The one-day hands-on driving school gives teens experience in car control through exercises that include emergency braking and skid recovery. Find a class near you at TireRack.com/survive.
Hey, this is Reagan, owner of R&R Cigars, the Cigar Mansion in downtown Tuscaloosa, located at 2703 6th Street across from the Home 2 Suites. Come down to R&R and see why we're the ultimate cigar and bourbon experience. With over 165 bourbons and 5 private barrels, our selection of bourbon is unmatched. We have the best cocktails around, and our cigar selection is legendary. Our lounge and service are world class. Come and experience the luxury of the mansion and see why it's a world-renowned cigar and spirits destination.
Do you have a renovation vision for your home? Let Shoot Masonry and Specialties transform those tired spaces in your home into vibrant havens. Whether it's a culinary dream kitchen, spa-like bathroom, or the warm glow of a brick fireplace crackling on a chilly night, let Shoot Masonry and Specialties create your vision into stunning reality with complete renovations. Experience the wow factor. Contact Shoot Masonry and Specialties at 205-887-3807 today and unleash your home's full potential.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's now time for Harvest Church 2-minute warning. I want to remind you or inform you, if you've not heard, we're adding the West Alabama High School Pigskin Preview Show to the Martin Houston radio network. We'll be doing that on Thursday, starting August 15th at 6 p.m. following the game with Ryan Fowler. We'll be talking to high school coaches. We'll have a game of the week highlight. We'll have players of the week, offensive and defensive. We'll also have our pigskin, the Martin Houston pigskin, all pigskin team. So we look forward to partnering with you. If you'd like to learn more about that, email martin@martinhouston.org. We'd love to add you to the roster of partners that support local high school in West Alabama. Pickens, Hale, Bibb, Tuscaloosa, and Fayette counties will be the high schools that we highlight. So email martin@martinhouston.org for more information. It's now time for some roster management with Max Recruiting. Xavier Houston, follow Max_recruiting on the X for more details. Toss it to you, X.
Yeah, got a big recruiting weekend as the dead period has come to an end, and that is the cold summer cookout. And got a lot of names coming in, a lot of commits in this 2025 class. You got Keelan Russell, Ty Haywood, Caleb Cunningham, John Lee, Duke Johnson, Dawson Merritt, Micah Dubose, Abdul Sanders, Mal Waldrop, just to name a few. Several other commits in this 2025 class will be back in town this weekend for that. So big momentum thing, getting these guys all together really for the first time. They've some been here together, some haven't. So getting to meet your future teammates this weekend, as well as a handful of 2026 guys. You have Anthony Jones out of St. Paul's in Mobile. You've got who's a 5-star edge. You have 5-star offensive lineman Jackson Cantwell out of Missouri. Blaine Bradford, number 1 safety out of Baton Rouge. Xavier Griffin, number 2 linebacker out of Gainesville, Georgia. Ryder Lyons, the number 3 quarterback in the 2026 class out of Folsom High School in California. Zion Gibson, number 3 corner out of Gaston City. So just some of those guys. But the biggest name, a name that we've all been listening to and wanting to hear, is going to be in town this weekend, and that is 4-star running back, number 1 running back in the country, Kalen Deere out of Mississippi. He will be back on campus. Maybe we get a commitment. There's rumors that this might be his only post dead period visit. So I think we could hear some big things getting added to this class of 2025.
Wow, that's awesome. So do you think we get AK? What are your leanings and predictions there?
Everything I've heard is he is loving Bama. The relationship that he has started to build with Keelan Russell. He and Caleb Cunningham have been good friends for a while. Ty Haywood, who is playing his high school ball in Texas, is originally from the state of Mississippi. That's the connection there that is being built. And I think when you really look at it, you want an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, a quarterback. That's who you want your running back to be getting close with. So I think it's a high possibility. He's kind of gone quiet, but he still seems to have a lot of love for Bama. And that also might just be quiet due to the dead period.
Yeah, definitely some interesting thing. Based on what they've done, X, in the big recruiting weekend, what do you think Alabama's biggest needs are? Is it running back, or is it just that you take a 5-star if you can get him?
I mean, when you look at it, there's 5 running backs on the roster. Yes, they all can return next year. When you look from Jan Miller down to the freshman in Kevin Riley and Daniel Hill, but you never know what's going to happen with the transfer portal. You never know what's going to play out with that. You never know what could make a guy lean somewhere else. We do have Anthony Rogers out of Montgomery committed in this class. Rumor is if Deere comes, he might be out. But you want multiple running backs in most classes, and so I think Alabama's definitely going to try to stick with that trend of getting a second guy in while holding on to Anthony Rogers.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Like you said, you always want to try to get multiple running backs just because of injuries and different things like that. Speaking of that running back room, this is really more roster management. As you said, there's 5 guys that could all come back. Jam Miller's the only one that can leave, right?
Correct.
So you got at least 4, right? Justice is
right. If nobody transfers out, Jam is the only one eligible to leave for the draft.
What's your thoughts, really quick? Do you have anything else on the recruiting side before I ask you a question about Jam and Justice?
No, I think that's it, really.
Okay. When you look at Justice and Jam, what are your thoughts about Justice Haynes being 3rd team and Jam not being on there at all? On the all SEC preseason.
I mean, that is the hype, and it is well deserved. When you look at their talent level, these are definitely 2 backs that are first team All-American caliber when it comes to talent. It just really depends on how they'll be used this year in this system. But Jam not being on the list at all, and picking Jam when I think Jam not being on the list and picking Justice when I think Jam's going to be the quote-unquote starter is kind of disrespectful.
Yeah, do you think, and that brings me to the point, do you think that it's possible Jam may be the starter, but do you think Justice could end up with more carries?
I don't know if more carries. I think he might end up with more touches. I think he'll be used a little bit more. Yeah, I think he'll be used a little bit more in the passing game, potentially than Jam. But Jam's proven to be a quality back catching the ball out of the backfield. So,
yeah. Either way, Alabama has a good problem to have. I think Jam will get there. We'll just talk about this all next week as we're getting ready to roll in on what's happening at the Crimson Tide. We will have an OT. I'm going to talk about Jalen Milroe being up in New York. Got a couple of video clips that are going to play and break down. Kudos to Jalen Milroe for embracing this new role as a leader, clear leader. Hey, that's Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. That's Chase Brumfield. Thanks to all the callers, reviewers, and chatters for being a part of the program. We appreciate you. If you hadn't heard the Dabo Swinney audio on scholarship roster management, you need to hear it. You can go to Martin Houston, the Martin Houston Show on Facebook, and find all the details. Played it in its entirety right there on Facebook. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. We'll be back on the other side for Martin Houston OT. Good morning. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show OT. We're glad that you've chosen to be with us as we extend this OT time. We appreciate you supporting the program. We got some great conversation we're going to have right here with Jalen Milroe up in New York. Before we do that, want to remind you of the West Alabama High School Pigskin Preview Show that's going to be kicking off August 15th at 6 p.m. It will broadcast on Tide 100.9, 12:30 a.m. WTBC, but it'll be broadcasting on the Martin Houston Show network as well. So if you tune in right here, you'll be able to catch it on Thursday night. We'll focus on West Alabama high schools, Fayette, Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Bibb, and Hale County. We'll have games of the week. We'll have offensive and defensive players of the week, etc. You're able to sponsor those as an option. And hey, listen, you may be tuned in, you are tuned in right now. And you've heard me say a lot about the Legacy Collection officially licensing. But if you're a coffee drinker, go to martinhouston.org/shop and pick up your Martin Houston Show mug and other swag items available there. Different email. Martin Houston Show swag can be found at martinhouston.org. Officially licensed gear can be found at athletesthread.com/collections/Martin-Houston. All right, hey, let's get a little bit of conversation from Mr. Milroe. He was on ESPN. He was all over the place in New York. You saw him getting the opportunity to share with Judge of the Yankees. I thought that was a pretty neat setup there. He had an opportunity to share with him and talk a little bit about, Alabama football. But here's Jalen Milroe on ESPN and what he had to say there. Let's add that conversation in and listen for a minute.
31. This is just a jump ball now, so who do you have that can go up there and get it? Milroe stands in. He throws into the end zone. It's caught! Touchdown, Alabama! Unbelievable. With 32 seconds to go. Unreal.
But it was just a great throw by Jalen.
Here he is, the man who threw the pass heard around the world, Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Good enough to stop by our studio and get up with us today. Thank you for coming. And it's great to have you here. And I think all of us remember where we were sitting when we watched that play happen. And I told you, I want to try and understand this, because for the 99.99999% of the world who will never have any comparable experience, like in that moment, when you see that ball caught, what does that feel like?
It's a feeling that's just hard to describe with that play. Number one, you got to acknowledge the rivalry between Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah.
One of the greatest rivalries in all college football. So leading up to that game is so much, anxiousness to get prepared for the game and so much emotions during that week of preparation. And it all goes back to that play is the repetition as far as practice reps. And so that's something that we did a really good job at, was that no matter the outcome of the game, no matter the situation, always be prepared for any situation. And so when it came to running that play and executing it, I didn't see anybody flinch at all. And so, once we scored, I was very excited. Okay. But we had some time on the clock.
Yeah,
I want to talk to you, Bama Nation, just for a few minutes. First of all, kudos to Jalen Milroe. It is interesting to watch this evolution. For us as Bama fans, this kid last year versus this kid this year. And we had the GOAT leading the helm last year. But how bad did he botch that quarterback situation last year? How bad was that? I mean, God, I heard people all spring, all summer, trying to make it sound like that there was a competition. And Coach Saban tried to convince us the competition. How many of y'all remember we got to let the cake bake? Y'all remember that? We have to let the cake bake. Oh man, I know we got close last year, but would we have been over the top? What additional reps have gotten us to a place where we would not have been, in a situation that we were in? Would Jalen Milroe getting more reps have been enough to get us over the top against Texas? Would Jalen have been better prepared to throw that out route? Because he says it in this clip about when it came to that play. I want you to hear why am I talking about that? I want you to hear what he said. When it came to that play, I have heard very well-spoken analysts, very knowledgeable analysts, and maybe even our own people call that a Hail Mary play. Guys, that was not a Hail Mary play. That was not a Hail Mary play. That was not a Hail Mary play. That was a play call. That was not line up a bunch of guys on one side, throw it up, and say a prayer. Alabama ran a play on – they had a 4th and 31 play in their playbook. As bad as I've dogged Tommy D, D in his play calling, I have to give him credit that they had worked on a 4th and 31 play. And I also have to thank Hugh Freeze and his coaching staff. We appreciate you guys for not rushing the quarterback and letting him sit back there and throw the ball. We appreciate that, Auburn. Thank you very, very much. But the point I want to talk about is he said when it came time, we were able to execute, and no one was worried about that play working because they have repped it. Now, think about two things there. They had repped the play, all right? And on top of that, repping the play, Auburn has a prevent defense, but what are most prevent defenses? What defense do you generally run in that? You just line up somewhere along the back, and you're not playing. You're used to, in that situation, you expect them to put most of the guys in one area and one guy in the other area, and then they just run straight down the field. Number one. Number two is that particular play, Jalen is running, and if you go back and watch it, if you go back and watch that play, I'm going to see if I can just show you the play really quick. I want you to watch a couple of things as this play is being executed. Because watch Jalen. Watch what Jalen does with his head and his eyes, and see if you pick up anything from it.
You have that can go up there and get it. Milroe stands in. He throws into the end zone. He caught it. It's caught. Touchdown, Alabama.
I'm going to go one more time. I want you to look, and I'm going to try to stop
And
it.
it's 4th down and 31.
This is just a jump ball now,
All right,
so who do you have that can go up there and get it?
Milroe stands in.
Jalen was preparing for the cut. He anticipated Milroe being there. That was a play call. And watch this pass. Now, I want to know, when he let this go, how many of you thought the ball was going out the end zone? I'm just going to tell you. When Jalen let this ball go, my first thought was that this thing is going out the end zone. How many of you, when you look at this play, the way he lets it go, it looks like there's no way that's going to come down in bounds. He had about a foot, maybe, of room to work with.
This is just a jump ball now,
But
so who do you have that can go
they're
up there
saying
and
it's
get
just
it?
a jump ball. That's not what it is.
He throws into the end zone. It's caught.
He had
Touchdown,
a foot.
Alabama. Unbelievable.
With 32. He had a foot to get that ball in. One of the greatest single throws ever in the history of Alabama football, but it was because of the repetition. Not a Hail Mary, not a Hail Mary, not Mary, not a Hail Mary, but a called play that was executed. And it was because of repetition. And when I watched this young man that is absolutely killing it on the circuit with these different teams, these different programs, I cannot tell you how proud I am of him and his response. We'll listen to some more of that audio and stuff as we move throughout next week in preparing, because as a Bama guy, the way DeBoer has handled this team, and specifically this quarterback, has been absolutely refreshing. He came in, Saban to me was, as great a coach as he was a lot of times afraid to name a quarterback. Now, that may be his philosophy. I shouldn't say afraid. He refused to name a quarterback. And normally that's not as bad because you only have two guys that you're getting reps with. Last year, him refusing to do this, Jalen Milroe, when he started his first game, probably had taken 30% of the snaps as the first team, 30 to 40%. And probably 70% less than a typical starter around the SEC, and probably 50% less than the typical starter at Alabama, because Saban would always do this where he had two guys battling. But Jalen Milroe was taking first team snaps. 4 different people were taking first team snaps. And that absolutely cost us the Texas game, along with a couple other things. I'm sorry. Yeah. Curtis Moore II said, that's why I'm excited about this season, Martin. You said it, Saban botched the quarterback thing. I'm convinced Tommy Rees. And I said Tommy D's. I'm sorry, guys. Too many names in my catalog. I said Tommy D's earlier. Tommy D's was the work for the Tuscaloosa News for a while, and I'm friends with JD's, who is the manager for World Championship boxer Deontay Wilder. So sorry about that. But Tommy Rees didn't believe in Jalen. I don't know if he ever believed in him, but Curtis Moore II said initially, and Coach Wolf having our offensive line slow, overweight, along with not being able to fix the Seth McLaughlin snapping issue all year, we still almost were eventual champions. Hey guys, I'm gonna post a clip. Go back, and this is a quick sidebar notice. You know how we talk about Seth McLaughlin? I tell people all the time, Seth McLaughlin had snapping issues the year before. It wasn't as obvious because we had a 5'9" quarterback, and then we had a 6'3" quarterback. Go back and look at the first snap on the opening drive of Bryce Young's touchdown against Auburn. Bryce Young's touchdown drive, game-winning touchdown drive, starts in the end zone. And listen to what the announcer says about the snap. It's going to blow your mind. If I get a chance, I'll pull that up here this morning. Roderick Huggins said, I love Coach Saban, but I'll always say he harmed Milroe more than helped. A lot of people are saying that, but it's good to see that Milroe took that adversity and fought through it, and absolutely has become the young man that we see continually repping the University of Alabama in a very positive way. So I'm excited. It's hard to believe that this is the image that you see, that's Jalen Milroe, a fun-loving guy, always smiling, always hyped. I love the way he says "Roll Tide." I'm hoping to hear a lot of those in the coming season. So it's awesome. Like I said, it's just awesome to see. I'm over beyond excited about what he brings to the table. So let me see if I can find that audio really quick, guys. Bear with me. I'm doing this on the fly. We'll see if we're able to pull that up. And I just want you, because this is a sidebar. Curtis Moore mentioned it, but let's see if we're able to bring that up right here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll listen to this audio and see what they had to say about the snap. Let's hopefully it plays right here. All right, let me get back over here.
Snap was a little low. Again, the snap was a little low.
Did you hear what he said? Listen. He didn't say the snap was a little low. He says,
again, the snap was a little low. Young loads, now throws late, got it complete. First down.
Hey, I'm going to let you guys listen to this. It's only a minute and a half.
On the run, this time he's going to keep it and get out with about a 9-yard gain with 1:06 left. Young fires near side, caught and out of bounds. Jacoby Brooks, who's in for Jamison Williams. Young. Flush to his left.
Not going to get him.
And he'll run out of bounds with a pickup of about 3. That part doesn't matter, but it stops the clock with 53 seconds. 4th and 7.
Another fourth down against Auburn?
Down a touchdown. Bryce Young backpedals, throws, got his man, it's Billingsley. And he's out of bounds with a first down with less than a half minute to go. Looking for Brooks in the corner. Got it! Touchdown, Alabama!
Oh. You pay for it. Perfect throw. And remember when Nick Saban went over to the bench and said, somebody's got to come through? It was Ja'Cory Brooks.
Michael Jordan spends over $750,000 per week to fund his lavish lifestyle after amassing a $3.2 billion.
You look at this. I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun this morning. Listen, to end the show, I started the OT with a little Auburn, Alabama beating Auburn, and ended it with Alabama beating Auburn. Wow. But two things that take away from that. He said, again, the snap was low. We just didn't realize it as much because of the size difference between Milroe and Bryce Young. Go back and look how many times Bryce caught the balls at his knee. Okay. His knee is between Jalen's ankle and knee. So that ball is lower, and his best snaps, you go back and look at that drive, he had probably 3 or 4 that were at Bryce's knee or lower, and it just cost us. And he got worse. I don't know what they did to try to improve his O-line snaps, but to Curtis Moore's second place is, those O-line coaches never helped improve his snapping issue. That is an amazing, amazing thing. Because I've taught Little League kids how to snap in shotgun where the quarterback gets the ball in time. And maybe if you had taught him to hold the top of the ball and just flip it between his legs, it wouldn't have got back there as fast. It doesn't have to. I'd rather get back there right in the quarterback's hands and a little slower than to get back there low where the quarterback has to take his eyes off the field and off of the defense. So great OT today. Just wanted to highlight, so excited for Jalen Milroe He has responded. I think the adversity of last year has made him better. For this year, I think DeBoer has handled this amazingly. And undoubtedly, he's not just done a great job with Jalen Milroe. He has also done a great job with the other quarterbacks because none of them went in the portal. The only guy that jumped in the portal was the guy who was here and went up to Ohio State. And part of that was because Kalen DeBoer had already recruited against for him and had chosen a different quarterback who came here in the portal. So as a result of that quarterback coming in the portal with the new coach, it did make sense that our quarterback extraordinaire that never played a snap that everybody made the starter is at Ohio State now. All right. So, but DeBoer has handled this unbelievable. And then we, of course, ended it looking at the back snaps. And of course, I did find it interesting that there was a 4th and 7 and Billingsley caught that. Didn't he go to Texas as well? And then, of course, we know Isaiah Bond caught the 4th and 31, and he's at Texas. We'll see how that works out for those guys. But I'm excited about what Alabama has to offer. This has been the Martin Houston Show OT. I'm glad you've chosen to stick around with us. Tell your family and friends about what all we do here and tell them that they can join us directly on the Martin Houston Show on Facebook. Also jump in on the X and YouTube. All of those are options for the Martin Houston Show, and we appreciate you being a part of it. As we get out of here, I want to thank you for your continual support of what all we do here. And so let's get out of here, and thank you. Go check out the Legacy gear at athletesthread.com. That's athletesthread.com. You can get the Legacy gear there, and let me make sure I give you the whole thing, because if you just go to athletesthread.com, I don't make as much money, just being real with you. I get a higher percentage of the NIL cut if you go to athletesthread.com/collections/Martin-Houston. Legacy collection. We have the Make Fullbacks Great collection. We have authentic jerseys. We have caps and various opportunities. And we have the Martin Houston Show NIL co-branded merch and T-shirts and sweatshirts and hoodies and hats. And we also have these items available in youth sizes as well. The only place you can get the officially licensed Legacy collection is at athletesthread.com/collections/Martin-Houston. Thanks, guys. Roll Tide. We'll be back on Monday. We'll keep this same conversation going. We appreciate you being a part of the show each and every day. And thank you very much. And remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, and always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. Roll Tide, and have a blessed day and a great weekend. Check us out at Harvest Church. Harvest Church on Sunday at 9 a.m. Bible study, 10 a.m. worship and word. We'd love to have you at Harvest Church, where we love God and we love people. Thanks for being a part of the show.